All right, good morning, everybody. I want to go ahead and welcome you to our office hours that we're now offering here at Automation Invasion. And I want to kind of introduce myself real quick. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brian Minter. I've started working with Automation Invasion several months ago. Prior to that, I did work at Service Autopilot. I was a trainer there and worked there for about 10.5 years. So I know Service Autopilot like the back of my hand. And but I'm glad to be working with the team here at Automation Invasion. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's webinar. So what we're going to cover today is this is going to be a two-part series. So the second part will be on Friday at the exact same time. We will be recording that as well and making it available to you. And if you attend both and you're interested, I will be happy to offer you a free one-on-one training up to 30 minutes. And we can go over anything you want in Service Autopilot. It doesn't have to be this particular topic. But we are going to be covering master and custom packages in Service Autopilot. And so today's webinar is going to be mainly about what they are, how they're beneficial, how to set them up. And then in part two, I'm going to go over scheduling and dispatching and also how to renew them because they are designed to be renewed annually. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the differences between the two. So if you've been with Service Autopilot for a while, you probably are familiar with those. If you're brand new to Service Autopilot, you probably have heard them and maybe have a somewhat understanding of them, but I'm hoping today and Friday's webinars it will kind of solidify in your mind what they do and how they work and how they're beneficial. So in Service Autopilot, packages are a little bit different than what most people think traditional packages are. Traditionally, people think of packages as a way to offer services in a sales format to customers. So they'll say, well, we're going to offer, the platinum package, the gold package, the silver package, and so forth. And, with the platinum package, you're going to get all of these services, and it's going to be one price. And that's great. And you can certainly set that up yourselves that way, and the services that you offer. I think that's super beneficial and helpful. And it's a good sales tactic. However, in Service Autopilot, that's a little bit different. A package is a way to bundle services together for jobs, for scheduling mainly. All right, so in that, you have master packages and you have custom packages. So a master package is a set of services, a group of services, if you will, that are bundled together, not for selling, but for scheduling. So that way you don't have to schedule multiple one-time jobs or waiting list jobs. You can create this master package, which is a template of jobs, and schedule that package, and then the system will automatically put all of those services into, on your dispatch board or on the waiting list, mainly the waiting list. So kind of getting ahead of myself there. So now, the one thing about master packages, let me take a step back there. So custom packages are basically the same thing. It's just how they're scheduled. So with a master package, the individual services you're offering, so for training purposes, we're going to call them rounds, right? It doesn't matter. You can put anything in a package. It doesn't really matter. Just think that every service you're offering is going to be like a one-time job, all right? Now, this template can be renewed each year, but the service you can perform is just done that one time. And when you're done, it's done. All right, until next year, you renew them, and then all the services are renewed again. So with master packages, the dates they're hard-coded, if you will. Whereas with custom packages, the date ranges that you'll be working with are determined on when you schedule that custom package with the customer. I think it all makes sense, especially when we get into scheduling next time. Okay. So I want to talk about some of the key benefits of packages in Service Autopilot. One is efficiency and speed, right? So efficiency and speed, you don't have to schedule, you know, a bunch of one-time jobs. Okay. Um, for example, if I was offering a 7-round fertilization or weed control package or a pest control package or whatever it is, if I was going to schedule that individually, I would have to schedule 7 jobs rather than just the one. Okay, that's the main benefit. Another benefit would be consistency, and then also billing accuracy, because you're going to set the pricing. And when we get into actually building a package, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? And some of the use cases for these would be, like I said in my example, lawn treatments, fertilization, weed control packages, pest control, seasonal services that you offer. For example, you can have spring cleanups, fall cleanups, things like that are scheduled. The one thing we don't really recommend, although you can schedule them in a package, would be like recurring services like jobs, or not jobs, excuse me, like mowing or things like that. Something that's going to be on a regular recurring basis, because each visit is a line in the package. So let's say that you want to put your mowing on there, if you offer mowing or your maintenance services, and you're going to do 24 to 42 visits. Well, that package has to have that number of visits. Each line is a visit. So you'd build a package that's for, let's say, mowing, and here in Central Texas, it's going to be 42 visits, for that season. That's 42 lines that you have to manage, and each line is going to be added to the waiting list. So sometimes that could get pretty cumbersome. Now, if you live in an area where you don't have that many, then you can certainly do that. It's not really recommended for that. Now let's go ahead and jump in and start building a package. I'll show you where they're located and how to build them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings first. This is where we're going to start to build our packages. So go to this little gear icon on the top right, and that will take you into settings. Now you can scroll down and look through the different settings, or I recommend using the search bar. I remember back in the early days of Service Autopilot, we didn't have the search bar, so you had to scroll through, and sometimes, text kind of blends in together, and it's hard to see things sometimes, and you would be looking for it, for a couple of minutes, and then you're like, oh, there it was right there the whole time, and it's the same spot every single time. I don't know how that works, but it's funny that way. So what I'm gonna do is start typing here, and the great thing about this is it begins to filter what you're doing. So you didn't have to type in the word packages if you didn't want to. All right. Now, if you're doing this and you don't see master custom packages, you may have to enable that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to settings, but I'm going to open this up in a new tab. If you don't know how to do that, if you're on a PC, if you hold down Control, at the same time you click, it opens up in a new tab. If you hold down Command on a Mac, I believe it does the same thing. I'm not much of an Apple guy, and that's okay. I have a close friend of mine, Scott, still works at Service Autopilot. He loves Apple products, so we're always going back and forth. But so here I'm gonna go to settings, but this time I'm gonna go to company information, and then I'm gonna go over to the settings tab, and I'm gonna scroll down, and I'm going to see enable custom package services right here. Go ahead and check that box, click save changes, and then you can go back to your other settings tab, and then refresh, filter again, and you should be able to see master custom packages. So first thing we're going to tackle are actually master packages, because those are the most commonly used. So I'm going to go ahead and click on master packages. It's going to take me into that screen there. And I'm going to go ahead, and we have quite a few examples built in here. I'm going to click on add a package because I want to create one straight from scratch. Now you'll notice some of those were highlighted in pink. Those are packages that have expired. And we'll talk about that when I talk about the renewal date, right? So with that being said, when you're inside the message, can't talk. master package editor. Everything that's a bold field is required data. That's anytime in Service Autopilot you see a bold field, that means there's something, data is required in that field. So I'm gonna call this master package training example, which I'm super creative that way. The description is just for you, it's internal. The master package, the name is what you're gonna see in your list when you're actually going to schedule these. Okay, so the description, again, internal is for you. You can put whatever you want to in there if you need further explanation. The renewal date. The renewal date is when this package would be set to renew, basically, right? Pretty self-explanatory. With that being said, typically these are built for seasonal services or yearly services. Technically, you can build them as far out in the future as you want to. Just keep in mind, let's say I was going to build one for 5 years if I was super adventurous. And I offer, this is going to be like spring cleanups for 5 years. Well, remember, every visit is going to be a line. So if I go twice a year, then I would have 10 lines. The dates would be according to when I'm scheduling it. So let's say I was going to build it for 2020, spring of 2025, 2 visits. Then I have spring of 2026, 2 visits, and 2027, 2 visits, 2028, 2 visits, so forth and so forth, until you get to 5 years out. The renewal date would be at the end of that 5 years. You can build it that way. That kind of defeats the purpose of the whole renewal process, if you ask me. So I'm going to build this for this current year. So I'm going to say, well, I'm going to renew this sometime at the beginning of next year. I don't have to do it on the 1st. I don't have to end it on the 31st of December. It doesn't really matter. What I usually coach people is to say, well, if you're going to build this master package, you want to build it and renew it when you're gearing up for your next season, right? So lawn care, landscaping, you're going to be building, you're going to be getting ready, and mid to late winter, you're going to start scheduling, sending out your letters, your reminders to your existing customers, your marketing to new customers. That's when I want to renew this. So I'm going to set it to renew on the 4th. You say, well, on the 4th, that's my birthday. So anyways, I'm going to set it to renew on the 4th. Now, if let's say, and we saw that this year or next year is going to be on Sunday. Let's say I'm not working on Sunday. What does that mean? Well, that just simply means that on that date, the system's going to say, okay, this package needs to be renewed, if you will. Okay. I can renew it anytime after that. It doesn't really matter. I can renew it on March 4th. It doesn't matter. I'm just telling the system, when will this package, quote unquote, expire and need to be renewed? All right. And what happens when you renew is you're going to renew all of the dates again for the next season or next year. Okay. All right. So that's what the renewal date's for. The new products, if you have products attached to your master packages when you schedule these, and again, in the next training, I'll go over how to schedule and add all those service or the can't talk products. Then it used to be they didn't have this option, and I know they introduced it a little while back. But what it is now you can renew these products that are attached to these services. Before, when you renewed, you'd have to go back in and reattach those products. It was kind of a pain, so I'm glad that they finally got around to adding that. All right. Now, active just simply means that this is an active master package. Okay. Now let's get down here and look at the line. So the line, this is going to be, think of each line as its own job or its own visit, if you will. So we're going to build out a FERT program, if you will. We're going to do a simple 5-step FERT program, right? So we're going to call this round 1. The name doesn't really matter as long as you know what it is when you're looking at the master package editor. That's the only place it appears. The service that you're going to be doing is what you will see on estimates. It's what you're going to see on jobs and things like that. Okay. So the service here So I'm gonna call this FERT round one. I conveniently happen to have a service center called FERT round one, right? And then the start date, end date. Now the start date, I always coach people to say this is the earliest you would go in your season. You say, well, Brian, where we live, it's not Central Texas, so you don't really have much of a winter. It does get cold sometimes, but that's okay. Now it doesn't get cold as some other places, and winter doesn't last nearly as long in Central Texas. But let's say you live in Minnesota, if you will, and your spring doesn't start until somewhere around the beginning of April to the end of April. You can even have late snows in May. So let's say that, for example, you live there. Well, I always say, well, what is the earliest you could go? So it depends on the spring, the winter. If we have an early thaw and it just it starts warming up pretty quick, we could go at the beginning of April. Typically, we go in the middle of April and sometimes May at the end of April. I would recommend just scheduling it for the earliest you could possibly go, right? So I'm going to set this for. I'm going to build this for next year, not this year. So I'm gonna build this for March. We'll go March 15th, right? And then the end date is I would be done sometime in the end of April. So my first round, I am going to go. It is in the future. Oh, this renewal date is acting funky. Oh, I know what it is. I'm building this for next year, and I put my renewal date as January 4th, 2026, which is it has to be after the neural date has to be after the latest date in your round. So I apologize for that. So now sometime in between these dates, I'm going to finish this service for the customers I schedule this for. If I schedule for 100 customers, I should have 100 visits for this service between these dates. Now we'll get into, when I get into the schedule, and talk about what happens if you miss the end date. All right. Now minimum days really is for mainly for chemical tracking or chemical application services. So if I'm putting down a chemical and I have to wait a certain number of days before the next round shows up, that's what I put there. So let's say for a round, I'm putting down a pre-emergent. Well, the pre-emergent says wait at least 10 days. I'm going to throw out a number there. 10 days before you do the next application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put minimum days 10. Let's say I go to a customer's house or a property and I apply my application on April 30th, and then I'm done with that round for that customer. Well, the next round will not appear until 10 days after that last service date. Okay. Now, if my next round starts on, let's say, May 1st, that means that customer's jobs will not show up until May 9th, right? The default budget hours and the default rate has to do, when you're scheduling this as a job, those rates and default budget hours will automatically load into those fields. Now you can always change it, and I'll get into that next time, right? Same thing for estimates, and I'll show you how to add these to estimates next time as well. But you can put a default budget hours, default rate. A number has to be there, so default's to 0. It's up to you. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about is this little paper icon, because a lot of questions come up with this sometimes. These are package notes. And this has to do with the particular service. And this is going to be a note for the person or the technician actually doing the work. Now, this particular field only shows up on printed route sheet, format A, and chemical route sheets. You say, what is that? We're using the mobile app. Well, if you're using the mobile app, then those are actually added somewhere else. However, if you are not using the mobile app, you're still going to print off route sheets, go ahead and put your notes here. And usually what I see people do is if this is a chemical application, they will actually put some information about the chemical. Even sometimes the what's the MSCS sheet or whatever it is. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But the sheet that you have to say, this is what happens if you drink it. You grow a third arm or something. So with that being said, that just keep in mind that the only place it appears are on those route sheets. If you're using the mobile app, that's a different location, right? And then you can also edit the invoice description here if you wanted to, and this will carry over into jobs and estimates. So when you're done, go ahead and click on save, and then you start adding your next round. So I'm gonna quickly build out I should have just done a 3-round one instead of a 5-round one, but I'm gonna show you how to do it really quick and show you that building them is pretty easy. All you need is 10 years experience and you'll have it down. I'm just kidding. It doesn't take 10 years. So I'm gonna do FERT round 2, FERT 3, FERT. Now I'm just using this as an example. You can put whatever service it is that you're actually doing in that visit, put that there, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and build this out. Let's say I want to start 2026. And this one's going to go to the end of May 2026. And this is going to be June 1st. This one's going to go to August. And then this one is September 6th. And October. Oops. And then we'll end this one, let's say November, in the middle of November 2026. So November 15th. All right. Now, this little blue arrow, same thing for here, is it will copy whatever's in this line down. My services are different. If they're the same, I can just copy it and makes life easier. Let's say this one is like a 20-day wait period, and that's for the rest of them. Click this little down arrow and it copies it down. They don't have that option for names. You don't have that option for the start and end dates, okay? Now, once you're done building your master package, you go ahead and click on Save Changes. Now your master package is ready to be scheduled. And I got renew date over 18 months in the future. You're kidding me, right? June 9th. That's new. I don't remember them doing that before. They must have added that since I left. Let's build this for, let's go back here. That's not 18 months, right? It is. Why are they making life hard for me? They're embarrassing me in front of my new friends. Okay. I don't have to go off and rebuild this. Well, let's pretend it saves, okay? I didn't realize this, otherwise I would have used dates for this year, if you will. All right, so you know what? Let's just get rid of a couple of rounds. That's 12 months, right? Delete. That's next year. There it goes. Finally. Good night. All right, so that's creating a master package. And then let's go ahead and create a custom package, and we'll talk about that as we're doing that. So I'm gonna go back to settings, type in packages, master custom packages. Now, typically, in my experience, a master package will be used when the dates they're hard set, right? So your FERT programs, your treatment programs, things like that, that you say, okay, well, I can only do this application between these dates. That would be a master package. If you are offering services that the dates are fluid, if you will, depending on when they schedule. So let's say you're offering some sort of a program, like for example, like we have here, a water filter changing program, or if you offer pest control, and the pest control program is a year program, but it starts when they sign up with you, or when you do the first application. It's good for a year. I've even seen it used. There was this one company that came to a training we offered when I was at Service Autopilot, and they did boiler maintenance in old buildings in California. And I worked with him on the side, and that was when we had our first in-houses, and helped him build out a custom package for his boiler maintenance program. So because the dates were determined on when they actually signed up, right? So let's go ahead and start adding. We're going to click on Add Package. The name is going to be whatever we're going to call this, Custom Package Training 2.0. Right, there we go. The description, again, that's internal. It's for you. When we go over scheduling, you'll see that the description won't even show up, but again, it's internal. It's for you. Now let's go ahead and add a service. There is no renewal date. The renewal date is going to be determined on the end of the last round. All right, and I'll show you how to renew those again in the next webinar. So in this example, I'm gonna go ahead and click on Select Service, and we are going to use something random here. Let's do this dethatching here. Well, so we're going to offer this service the first month when they sign up, and we're going to start on the first day of that month, and the duration is how long this is going to last. It's going to last for 1.5 months. Now your options for duration are half a month, month and a half, 2 months, 2.5 months, and that's as far out as it will go. Okay. Now, whenever you actually schedule this, it's going to automatically adjust the duration, but you can change those dates. Again, when we actually get into scheduling next time, I'll show you exactly how to do that. The default budget hours, the default rate is exactly the same as it was for the master packages. Let's say that this is going to take 1 man hour, and your default rate is going to be, by default, $55. Okay. Then I'll add another service, whatever that is. And let's say this is going to start on, let's say, the 3rd month. And this is when we're going to start on the 15th of that month, right? And then because I'm going out 1.5 months, and this one's going to last 2 months. And this is going to be 2 hours, and this is going to be at $55 again. And add a 3rd service for giggles. And this is going to be whatever this is. And this one's going to be in we'll do the 8th month for some reason. So we're going to have some time go in between. And this one, we're going to start on the 1st of that month. And this one's going to last for 2 months. All right, so let's say this is going to also last 0.5. Should take 30 minutes. And this one, we're going to charge $250. Right. Now, what happens when I actually go to schedule this, the dates will change based on my start date, which is, again, when I'm actually scheduling this. So if I schedule this today, the dethatching, the 1st month is the month I'm scheduling it. So my first round will default back to today, or excuse me, to May 1st, and will be good for 1.5 months. The aeration spring will be start to show up or be scheduled for the 3rd month, which will be August 15th, and then it'll be good for 2 months. And then the 8th month, and I'm not good at math, so we'll, whatever that would be, 8 months from now is when it would show up, right? So that's how that scheduling works. And we'll go ahead and click on Save Changes, right? And that's it for creating a master custom packages. Now, again, just remember the examples of when you would use one versus the other master packages, or when you're creating a list of services and the dates are going to be hard set. All right, I'm always going to do this round between these dates. It doesn't matter if the customer signs up for our FERT program that we just created. And let's say that they sign up in August. Well, they might have 3 rounds left of the season of the 8 or whatever that I'm offering. That just simply means we're not going to do the other rounds at the beginning because we're not going to do pre-emergent in August, right? You're going to pick up right where you are. In that particular, that's master packages. Custom packages are the first round starts whenever they sign up with you, and it goes for that length of period, like say for example for the rest of the year. All right, so and that's it for this particular webinar. The next one we'll offer on Friday for this exact same time. We'll conclude the master and custom packages. I'll show you how to schedule them. Well, first I'll talk about how to add them to an estimate, how to schedule them, and then how to renew them. And we'll get into that. So I want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Also wanted to offer you, we here at Automation Invasion, since I started working with Rob and his team, we offer training and support in Service Autopilot, and we also do marketing and things like that. And so in the chat, I'm going to put a link to sign up if you want to talk to Rob about the services that we offer, and kind of go and see if maybe it'll be a fit for you. Go ahead and click that link and set up a time to talk to him. Oh, so yeah, so Brant, you asked how did you get to the custom package section? That's a great question. You missed that. So if you go back to settings and type in packages, you should see master custom packages. If you don't see that, go back to settings, go to company information, then go to settings, scroll down probably about 3/4 of the way, and then you'll see enable custom package services right here. And then go ahead and check that box and click Save Changes. When you do that, go back in. No, I don't want to save that. Go back in and refresh your settings, and then look for packages again, and you should see it at that time. Hopefully that answers that question. Anybody else have any other questions? I'll leave it open for another minute or so, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And again, I want to thank everybody for signing up, and oh, you're welcome, Brant, and joining today. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful. I know it'll all tie in together the next time, and so. I also want to add that if you do wind up, setting up your meeting with Rob and you sign up, you'll have my help and support with Service Autopilot, and helping set things up and showing you how to use it, and also supporting you through it, which is we're able to offer a little more customized support than Service Autopilot does, especially when it comes to using Service Autopilot. So. All right, everyone. I want to again thank you for joining. I'll go ahead and close down this webinar and look forward to seeing you in the next one. You all have a blessed day.